Hi, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the One Hood Power Hour. I'm your host, Royce Jones. A lot has happened since our last program, and we're very excited to be back with you to talk to you about the stories that matter and the people who care. This news program is meant to give you some updates about what's been going on around Pennsylvania, as well as talking to people who are in the news so you can understand how you're impacted and what you can do to make sure your community has what it needs. Now, remember, you can ask questions directly to our guests in the chat, no matter where you're streaming from. One Hood Power focuses on building power by reaching out to our communities who have been traditionally excluded, forgotten, and under-resourced. And while we engage all voters, we specifically focus on policies and platforms to improve the quality of life for our Black, people of the global majority, disabled, queer, youth, immigrant, and Muslim communities. On tonight's show, we wanted to talk a little bit about Pittsburgh. We all live here, right? What's it like to live here? And what's it like to work here or find a home? Well, we do this by having three very unique conversations about what it means to live here, why people want to stay, and the realities that they face while working and living here. We want to welcome our first guest, Rian-Louis McNeil. Ryan is a content creator, a podcast host of the Ryan Out Loud podcast, and author of Flawless. Yet this week, they are one of many Black professionals living in Pittsburgh, which was just reported to be one of the worst places for Black professionals. Now, to talk about their experiences as being a Black professional here, we want to welcome Ryan to the show. Hi, Ryan.
Hello. Hi, Royce.
It's great to be here with you.
It's great to be here with you as well.
So why don't you tell, before we get into everything, why don't you give
Mhm.
the people a little bit about your background?
Of course. So, my name is Rian-Louis McNeil. I am originally from the Westmoreland County area. I'm from Menneson, PA, but I live here in Pittsburgh, in the heart of Pittsburgh, in the East Side. Professionally, I am the outreach coordinator for Amachi Pittsburgh, one of the only nonprofits that dedicates their mission to youth impacted by parental incarceration. We're a mentoring program. But on the side, I am a podcaster. I'm the host of the Ryan Out Loud podcast, which is a safe space that celebrates Black LGBTQ plus creatives. I interview music artists, all of the above. I MC events throughout the city. I'm a creative director, and I'm gearing up for the release of my very first book called Flossom. So, do a lot of different things, but yes, yes.
I think I called it Flawless, and I'm so sorry.
Hey, same family. It's okay.
Talk to us about Flossom. Give us a little bit of what we can experience with Flossom.
So Flossom is a story. I wanted to create a story where that I identify as Black and gay, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and I watch a lot of TV for representation and read a lot of books for representation, and I don't get that representation. There's always a lot of trauma rooted into our stories, and yes, trauma exists, but I wanted to tell something that was a little like drama. There is a difference between drama and trauma. There's drama uh, in my story, and it's based here in Pittsburgh. About a 30-year-old Carter Johnson. He is a lover of music, and his life changes when he is now in charge of his 15-year-old sister, Simone. And it deals with music, family, friendship, and hashing out old love, but welcoming the possibility of new love into his life. So very excited to get that out at the end of the year, maybe top of 2026, but it's coming.
Okay.
It's
All
coming.
right, cool. When you get the big TV show deal, I would like to audition. I don't know the character I want to be yet. I would have to read the book first, but
Royce, actually, you would probably fit my second book, actually.
okay. All right. Period. All right.
We'll talk about that.
Works for me. I'll let you get through Flossom first, and then we'll
Yes,
move on
the
to the other
second book
one.
would be perfect, actually.
So Ryan, I mean, we see you everywhere. I feel like anybody who is anybody in the Black community, Black queer community specifically, we're used to seeing you. We see you we watch your podcast. And so you're everywhere. You're doing a little bit of everything.
Yes.
However, this past week, we've seen you in a bit of a different capacity because you were featured in an article by The Courier.
Yes.
And it was centered around a report that was from, I think it was apartmentslist.com,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
ranked Pittsburgh one of the lowest cities to live in for Black professionals. So, first of all, how were you first made aware of this report?
So first, I want to give a shout out to Chi. She wrote the article, and then I commend her for writing this article and really shaking things up, starting a
Mhm.
conversation that needs to happen. The conversations that have been happening because it's been all over Facebook. Um, I feel like it's needed. It's necessary. Pittsburgh lacks a lot, but there's also still really unique history here and Black professionals here that are willing, that from the comments, based on
Mhm.
comments, are willing to connect and link up and let's make something happen. One thing about me, I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of typing in the comments. Like, let's actually make something happen.
Yeah. So you agree with the report? Do you
Yes,
think
I
it's
do.
one of the
Yes,
worst
yes.
cities? What's your perspective overall
Can I
of being a Black professional here in Pittsburgh?
I'll say, when it being the worst, I get it. Um, but a lot of people leave this city
Mhm.
for, to continue to blossom and to grow. Um, has it crossed my mind? Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think about me as a brand, I have so many other connections outside of the city that are like, you need to come here, you need to come there. While
Mhm.
yes, I do agree, I would flourish, but because I love it here. This is home. My family lives in Westmoreland County area. This is still home to me. And because there's people or organizations like One Power, One Hood Power, and One Hood
Yeah.
Media, um, Machi Pittsburgh, where I work at, that make me, that I love doing the work that I do and connecting with the creatives that I've connected with, that I feel like there is hope.
Yeah.
It's just about collaboration. I feel like people, there's this thing that goes on, especially in the nonprofit sector, like, oh, don't talk to them because they work for that organization, or oh, they think they're better than us. And it's like, no, let's just have a conversation and see how we can support each other.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
It seems like you've been having a lot of success, right, with your podcast.
Yes.
And I feel like it probably wasn't always that way, and maybe it's even not still sometimes right now. Like, what kind of challenges have you faced as a Black professional, a Black creator, content creator, building that platform, and what kind of challenges do you still kind of continue to face today with that?
Yeah. So Ryan Allow just celebrated 5 years. 5 years of creating and celebrating Black LGBTQ plus creatives. Over 15,000 listens. I've had international guests, but sometimes it still comes back to, there was a point when I felt like maybe I'm not where I should be,
Yeah.
because I target, dedicate my mission and my podcast to Black LGBTQ plus creatives. That has toyed with me.
Hmm.
And when I look at the analysts, look at the views and look at the listens and see who's streaming and where it's going and who's listening where. And part of me, I need to pay attention to that because I want to know how to elevate and how to continue to take Ryan Out Loud to the next level. But every time I question it, then there's always little things that come in and remind me of why I'm doing this, because there's not spaces for people that look like me. So I wanted
Hmm.
to create my own. I wanted to give people, and specifically independent queer artists, an outlet to talk about their music, because they are independent artists. They don't have a big backing, a big machine, record label behind the backing them, with
Yeah.
the money, the budget, all of that. And they're putting their hard work on the timeline. Unfortunately, sometimes they get mocked, by those executives and A&Rs that are watching closely, because that's what their everyday job is, to see what's happening. Who can I rip off of, honestly. Um, so yeah, I find those moments where I feel like maybe because of who my audience is for, I don't see the success. I watch, I
Yeah.
listen. There's other podcasters that are not black, that have support of even local organizations here in the city. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm here too. And yes, I cater to black LGBTQ plus creators because it's a need. You won't give anybody else a spotlight, so I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a purpose and there's room for everybody, and I'm making my way regardless if anybody likes it. So
I know that's right. And look, so you're from here. You said Menneson, right? Westmoreland County.
yes, yes.
So, I'm sure that that probably is a big like driving force behind not only just what you do, but why you continue to do it here and stay here. Is that right? And I mean, what kind of changes do you hope to see? Do you plan on leaving eventually? Like what is the future for you? And also what kind of legacy are you hoping to leave?
The honest truth is, I do plan to leave.
Yeah.
I'm not ready yet because back to what I was saying earlier, I feel it. I feel like there's a shift that's happening, and I think it might be with this article, and it might be with these, support of other organizations like One Hood Power, like that can really enforce this change. And I'm willing to connect and support and support however I can. But being from a small town, because let me go back, I was born in DC, so that will
Oh,
always be
okay.
my original home, right? But
Yeah.
I've been here all my life, so I am a Yinzer or Pittsburgher, whatever.
You've earned your Yinzer card.
Yeah, I've been in the city for a while now. But the future, the honest truth is, yes, I plan to leave, but then there's also a
Mhm.
part of me that says, like, traveling. I mean, traveling's a little weird for a lot of people right now. A lot
Yeah.
that's going on, but right now I'm like, I can travel and come back. This will always be home. My grandfather always tells me, "Go, leave, you
Yeah.
come back." Word to JoJo, but yeah, come back. You can leave, get out, come back, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, and that's kind of where I'm at in the process right now, figuring out Ryan Out Loud, the future of Ryan Out Loud is going to change.
Yeah.
I can't elaborate on it more anymore, but something is coming where I will be doing something new. I'm kind of ready for
Okay.
something new, but I'm never going to leave Ryan Out Loud because that is my baby.
Yeah.
And I've made so many great connections for that. But as I focus now on my book and some creative directing, working with some local artists here in the city, and just kind of figuring out what's next. I'm really in my professional mode right now. Amachi
Yeah.
Pittsburgh is has been a great support. Having a great executive director, Ms. Anna Hollis Kander, that is my boss lady, and she is so supportive and helpful in a lot of the things that I do, even in my side projects as well, always encouraging. So I'm here for right now
Yeah.
because I really want to dig deep. I really want to talk to people. I'm a people person. So I want to talk to people, like, how can we do this? Where can we meet up? How can we
Yeah.
find a solution? I'm always solution. I want to find solutions.
What do you think is the problem? Like, what is the missing link? What are we missing that Pittsburgh would earn such a low ranking like this? I think it was like 69, like the
Yeah.
69th worst place
Yeah.
in 2024, and then the 76. It was
70.
out of 76 cities in total, and it ranked number 76. It was tied for a small like town that I don't even remember right now, but it was tied for last.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you know, so like why do you think Pittsburgh would earn such a low rating like that? Like what are we missing here?
First of all, let's go back. Like, I think about, I'm a music lover, right?
Hmm.
Um, I'm tired of traveling to other cities to
Yeah.
go see Beyonce and other artists that completely skip over. They might go to Cleveland or they might go to Philly, or DC. We got to figure out going anywhere those areas. And part of me, one of the reasons, because I am such a music lover. I mean, I host a music podcast, so I'm like, I want to live in a city where I don't have to worry about 4-hour drive to DC to go see Beyonce, or
Yeah.
stuff like that. Music's a part of that. I wish, but also there's hope, right? Like
Mhm.
Pittsburgh City Winery, they are bringing artists in. Some people we might not know, or some we be like, I remember them. But
Yeah.
it's recurring. Like there is a scene. Like I even think of the black like LG like artists like Manny DiBiase.
Yes.
Uh, oh my gosh, organizations like True T, um, Allies for Health and Wellbeing, and also One Hood. Like there's so many
Yeah.
reasons to stick around and to support. And I feel like if people just really open their mouths and just say,
Mhm.
hey, I work for this organization. People are always so scared to talk, and
Mhm.
I get it. Maybe not everybody, they're introverts, they're extroverts. You want them to approach you or however, but open your mouths. You don't know, that
Yeah.
next conversation can lead you into that next doorway of success. Like just talk,
Right.
it's all about networking. Talk
Yeah.
and yeah, just
So
talk.
it seems like, and I think that there were some this sort of perspective was voiced in that Courier article, and I think we've seen some of this discourse online surrounding this report, which it's not always like, oh, a lot of us, you know, like for us to be both sitting here right now talking on this platform, that is success, right?
Yeah.
As a Black
Yeah.
professional, One Hood Power being here as an entity, that is Black success. So,
Yes.
we see it. We are capable of achieving success here. It is hard. Like, we do have to, and this is just my personal perspective, being a Black professional, it is hard. We do have to fight very hard to be taken seriously in the workplace
Very
and to
hard. Yeah.
gain access to rooms and opportunities. And so, on that, and getting to my point with this is I think that what a lot of people have been saying is that it's not just, and I think you alluded to this, it's not just about finding opportunities as a Black professional here. We can do that. We're smart. We know how to how to navigate spaces. But I think the problem that a lot of us face is our social lives tend to wither on the vine because there are not things that cater to young Black professionals here in
Hmm.
Pittsburgh. That sentiment was shared in that article, and I think that you are sort of hinting at that right now. And so, is that like the main message you think that, or one of your like main messages you would like to sort of drive to city leaders or anybody who might be watching this that can sort of take control with their notepad and be like, okay, maybe we do need to like you know show some love to the young Black folks that work here
Yeah.
and gauge their interest.
Yeah. I think like stronger networks,
Mhm,
support systems, mentoring, funding for Black entrepreneurs,
mhm.
resources to make it easier for us. I'm gonna include myself in that, for us, to thrive.
Mhm.
Um, a vibrant and inclusive social scene. Like some
Yeah,
people don't feel comfortable going to the South Side because it's too young, and then
right.
you can't wear certain shoes or length of pants, and people
Mhm.
that identify or not even whoever just wants to wear a crop top can't even get into some places because
Yes,
it's doing too much, and it's like, what is it doing? But I'm expressing myself. Clothing
exactly.
is a way to express yourself, wearing your clothes and what
Yes.
you're comfortable in, and to be judged and to not let into an establishment because of what you're wearing is just like
Yeah.
beyond me, but what is a thriving area of space is like Lawrenceville. Like,
Mhm.
I want to see more inclusive activities going on instead of like just once a month activities like people go to,
Yeah.
slappers and burgers, or, but there are spaces for us. It's just you gotta find it. And I think
Yeah.
also the problem is the algorithm.
Mhm.
The algorithm is really works against us. I think in the
Yeah.
city, because there's a lot of things that like events that I miss, and I'm like,
Mhm.
that's from 3 days ago. If I would have saw that, maybe I would have went.
Yeah.
I think the algorithm plays a really hard space. But then again, people don't want to go out to the clubs and stuff like that. They want to
Yeah.
just go to it. We don't have a lot of Black owned restaurants here in the city, and the few that we do
Exactly.
either are closed or they work really weird hours because they don't have staff. They
Yeah.
don't have enough staff because it's usually family owned, or what's thriving is like food trucks and stuff. So they find it easier, which they only have maybe, and I don't quote me, but they may only have success during the summer because
Right.
winter hits us hard here sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think spaces where Black professionals, especially those who are queer, can connect, celebrate, and exist without feeling like
Mhm.
outsiders in their own city.
Yeah. Yep. Yep. They gotta find a better way to keep us here.
Yes.
Because we need Ryan Out Loud podcast to stay here. So we need that to stay. We need you here. So
I'm trying. Right now you got me, but it's
okay.
I hope my boss isn't watching because she's like, "Are you staying?" I'm like,
Uh-huh. Look, for all, right, we keeping it for now. We're
for
not
now, I'm
for
here
now, you're
because
there.
if anybody watching, please reach out to me. I'm always
Yes.
I don't have all the answers, but I want to connect. I do a networking event called Connect and Elevate, which is for outreach coordinators, specifically myself, because it's I find myself like finding out again the algorithm, finding out about events afterwards. So I
Mhm.
developed Connect and Elevate through Amachi Pittsburgh is a way for outreach coordinators and community leaders to kind of come together and support. And there's places like Emerald City that that are really in the heart of town. There's no missing them. You can't
Right.
miss them. Support them. Like this.
Yes.
It's so many of us. TLC Libations is a Black owned one. Erica Turner, the owner of TLC Libations, is the only in the first right now the black woman owned distillery in PA. Period.
Hmm.
Support her. Support TLC Libations.
Yeah.
We're looking for mentors at Amachi Pittsburgh. I'm looking
Right.
for guests, Royce, to
I
come
know.
on
Look, I'm
around out
coming.
to come on around
I'm
out loud.
coming.
Like things that
Yeah.
just to keep flowing and integrate. I can adapt to any crowd. Let's talk and let's
Yeah.
support each other.
How can people get in contact with you?
You can find me. I am on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, barely, but I'm there. Facebook. So Twitter and Instagram, goodness, is Rated Ryan, RATEDRIAN. Um, Facebook is Ryan RIAN Louis McNeil, and you can find me, message me. You Google me, I will come up. The Ryan Out Loud podcast
Yeah.
is available on all streaming platforms. Find me, let's talk.
Yes. Yes. All right, Ryan. Well, thank you so much for
Thank you,
coming
Royce.
on, taking the time for us, and sharing your experience with us being a Black professional here in
Thank
Pittsburgh.
you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, for sure. So, we know that there have been over 10,000 Black people who have been pushed out of the city of Pittsburgh for a variety of reasons, including housing affordability. Now, here to discuss a bit more about how we can make housing in Pittsburgh more affordable, we want to welcome Chris Rosselot. Chris is the policy director of the Pittsburgh Community Reinvestment Group. The PCRG has released numerous reports about the state of housing and Pittsburgh, and has also been involved in policy advocacy to make sure that people in Pittsburgh are able to access affordable housing so they can stay here. Hi, Chris.
Hi, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Nice to join you. Thanks for
Like
having me.
Likewise, thanks for being here. So, give us a little bit of your background. Tell us about you.
Yeah, sure. So I live in the north side in the Spring Garden neighborhood with my wife and two children. And I've lived in Pittsburgh for about a little over 20 years now. So I'm not quite a Yinzer, but some of the old heads still know me. So that's good.
Oh, we'll
Um,
claim you. We'll claim you.
Yeah, right. I mean, but I love my neighborhood. I think it's a wonderful place to raise a family. I feel so fortunate. My parents live two doors down from me.
Oh, wow.
My sister and her kids live up the street. I mean, it's just it's sort of we call it a compound, so it's great. We just love our neighbors. Everybody looks out
Yeah.
for one another. It's a great community.
Good. So I'd love to hear that. I mean, what do you think, with that in mind, what do you think the state of housing is like here in Pittsburgh?
Well, that's a great question. I think in a lot of ways we're no different than a lot of other cities throughout the country. I think
Mhm.
it's safe to say that we're here in Pittsburgh and across the country, we're facing an affordable housing crisis. There's a lack of supply, certainly, but also here specifically in Pennsylvania, we have some of the oldest housing stock in the country. I think we're fourth behind Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and another state in the Northeast. So we have old housing stock. We are combating a lot of the problems that other cities are facing, just with the general economic conditions that we're in, with construction costs are just overwhelming. It's anywhere from 350 to 400,000 to build or rehab a single family home, depending on the land cost. So, I mean, we're facing lots and lots of challenges, and the biggest one here specific to Pittsburgh is we have a serious lack of supply for housing on the affordability rate of, say, 30% to 50% area median income. So workforce housing is really what we're facing here in Pittsburgh that's sort of unique to other parts of the country.
What do you think the driving force of that is?
Well, I think depending on who you ask, I think a lot of folks still say, well, Pittsburgh's, still affordable compared to other cities, but, as you mentioned in your intro, and Ryan touched on it a little bit about leaving Pittsburgh, we've seen a migration of roughly 10,000 Black people leaving the city. And at that same time, so this is going back from 2010 to 2020, we saw that migration happen. But at the same time, we also saw an increase of the median price of housing go up 70% in those same neighborhoods. So we're seeing sort of gentrification come into play, right? We're seeing that actually backed up by data. We followed that study up. We did a Black home ownership report, and then we followed that study up with, why are we seeing this migration? What's happening? Why are the prices going up? And we found that there's been approximately 10% increase both at the city and at the county level of corporate LLC purchasing of single family homes. They're coming in, quick cash. They're outbidding folks, first time home buyers that want to purchase a home. And a lot of them are speculating and just sitting on these properties and waiting for these areas to increase. So we're fighting a lot of challenges here in Pittsburgh.
What are they doing with these properties? They're purchasing them, and then what? Are they just sitting there? Are they developing them?
I think you're seeing different scenarios depending on the circumstances. You are seeing certain corporations sort of sitting and speculating and waiting till the markets return to where they can get higher income buyers. You're seeing that. You're also seeing sort of flippers, just your sort of traditional flippers that just try to make a quick buck. But you're that speculation and sitting on those properties is really damaging neighborhoods and the fabric of our communities, because other issues stem from that absentee not taking care of your properties. So you're starting to see some other issues stem for that. So
yeah,
we have a lot of work to do, and quite frankly, to folks that live in their homes now that are owner occupied, maybe they've lived in their homes for a long time. I mentioned the housing stock and the condition of our homes. They're in desperate need of repairs. So and those are becoming very, very costly. So you're starting to see folks having to leave their homes or just unable to make repairs, and it's a serious health issue, really.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, you mentioned just the amount of old homes that we do have here in the city of Pittsburgh, and that probably plays a big part in that, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
It does. I mean, there was a very popular program that was originally funded a couple of years ago through the Federal Investment Recovery Act dollars that the state received. And now County Executive Sarah Innamorato took the lead with Senator Sabal out in Philadelphia to create the whole home repair program, which PCRG, our member, Action Housing, does a wonderful job managing that program, or did do a wonderful job in that program. But that's run out of money. It was, the application interest was huge, and there just wasn't enough to go around because the housing stock is in such a poor condition. So
Yeah, and so to go back to sort of that that corporate involvement in snatching up some of these properties, or are there any policies or anything here in the city of Pittsburgh that might help sort of intervene with that process at all, or anything that either active or something that like legislators are working on?
yeah, that's a great question. There's not, like a lot of things in whatever policy you're discussing, there's not one answer to the solution. It's definitely multi-pronged, federal remedy, a state, and Harrisburg remedy, and even a local remedy. And one thing we've been a long time advocate for is lifting up in the city of Pittsburgh, the city of Pittsburgh Land Bank. That was originally created in 2014, 15, and it's taken years to sort of get its footing. But the whole purpose of the land bank is to get those properties back onto the tax rolls and into the community's hands, into home buyers' hands, to get those. Not only you get the tax benefits, but then you also open up home ownership opportunities, right?
Yeah.
You want to see those play out. So we're almost there. We're very close to getting a fully functional land bank, and our friends of Sally Stadelman has done a wonderful job in the Pittsburgh Land Bank managing that program. We just need to get the taxing bodies all together to get an agreement, and then you'll have a fully functional land bank, because we have roughly 8,000 to 10,000 vacant properties in Pittsburgh. So that should give you an idea of what the scope we're looking at.
Yeah, and talking about fair housing here, how does inclusionary zoning play a key factor in all of this?
Are you trying to cause up trouble here? Right? You are just
Me? No.
no. Inclusionary zoning. Yeah, that's been a very hot topic lately. I had the honor of attending the city planning meeting last month that went for 10 and a half hours. It was one of the longest city planning meetings, I think, probably on record. We should make T-shirts or get a tattoo or something. But
I'm down. Let's do it. We can.
I mean,
that can be a segment.
I was at the meeting, right?
Yes.
But look,
I survived the planning meeting.
I survived is right. That was so inclusionary zoning actually has been around for some time in certain neighborhoods in the city of Pittsburgh, right? So it's in Lawrenceville, Polish Hill, Bloomfield, parts of Oakland. And really that is to require in units, rental units, 20 units or more, to require a certain percentage of those to be affordable, right? So this is coming. So this was enacted, I think, in 2019. I might be getting my years wrong. But the Mayor Gainey rolled out sort of a zoning reform package, if you will, to help address the affordable housing issue that we have in the city of Pittsburgh. And it included great, wonderful things like transit-oriented development, increase the usage of accessory dwelling units, which, some people call them mother-in-law suites, just sort of attached apartments. There's, building setback requirements, just little things, well, not necessarily little, but things at the local level that can be addressed to incentivize development of housing. And part of that was to expand inclusionary zoning at the city level, the entire city. Mayor Gainey ran on that issue. It was a recommendation from city planning at what was done. There was a report done called the Housing Needs Assessment. It was a recommendation off of that report. So it was really just rolled out finally by the city, which is great. We were really excited. One of our members, Lawrenceville United, did amazing work on inclusionary zoning and really, in an area like Lawrenceville that has seen prices go up, it was just sort of a way to include affordability. And so there shouldn't have been a lot of surprises. But as this zoning reform package was rolled out, you had some critics, primarily with the let's just say sort of the market-based philosophy of, well, if you include affordability in certain neighborhoods, it's going to drive development away, which we're finding is actually the opposite.
And so you've been deeply entrenched in this work for years. Like, how long have you been working in housing in general? So
it's interesting. So I've been at PCRG roughly about 4 years. My background, I like to say, sort of, you have the nonprofit world, the private sector, and the government world, and I've been fortunate enough to sit at sort of all those chairs at the table. I started my career working in Senator Casey's office, working on his economic development and community development portfolios here in the region in southwestern Pennsylvania. So I got to know a lot of and gain a lot of experience in the housing industry. I joined his team in a very interesting time during the 2008-9 financial meltdown and foreclosure crisis and I got to see firsthand sort of the amazing work that some of our local advocates did, like Action Housing, NeighborWorks, on just helping people that were going through just such a hardship on these foreclosure issues. So I've always had a special heart for they call them the housers. So I've always had a special place in my heart for the housers. And then I moved on into the private sector, doing private development in lower income and communities that weren't seeing investments. So I did that for about 4 or 5 years, and then I just wanted to really get back into the policy space.
I mean, and so with all of that experience hitting like several different pillars of housing, I mean, does it ever shock you how contentious these discussions can get?
No, not really. I mean, I think we're always the best way to think about the way I try to think about it is, especially in housing policy, I think we've gotten into the bad habit of sort of using acronyms or language or lingo that doesn't necessarily transfer to folks in the community. And you see that a lot in housing. So you have sort of, well, I'm a NIMBY, which means not in my backyard, or I'm a YIMBY, which means yes in my backyard. So it's like, but there's a lot of nuances, and like a lot of other policy issues in housing, there's a lot of nuances. So, take inclusionary zoning. If you were for inclusionary zoning, the one group would call another group something. It just gets lost in a lot of and it becomes contentious, right?
Yeah.
And I saw that at that 10.5-hour meeting. I saw it all. I saw all camps and
yeah.
So you run into that issue, and you see it in when folks talk about our unhoused community. You see sort of the contentiousness there, and you see it all around. So it doesn't really surprise me, especially on the IZ conversation, because again, I think that was just a component of an overall zoning reform package that the city needs to keep up with other cities.
And so with all of that, sort of said, and looking towards the future, I mean, how do we create affordable housing here? What are your hopes, your goals, your ideas for that?
Well, that's another great question. I see some hope at the local level, and even at the state level. Governor Shapiro announced back in September a statewide housing action plan, right? Executive Order 2024-3, right? Like I'm gonna create this plan, work with stakeholders, local governments to address this affordability crisis issue. So I think that's great. And the legislator is working to sort of fill in those holes, right? I mentioned whole home repairs. I mentioned some other state programs that can fill in some of the gaps. At the local level, the city took out an affordable housing bond, I think, which is great, $30 million to go towards their programs. The federal stuff concerns me. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it's chaos. It's HUD. There were reports that Housing and Urban Development were going to lay off 50% of their staff, and that impacts programs, right? Federal programs that folks need to administer, and it's going to trickle down to the local level. So that concerns me. AI concerns me a little bit when you're talking about, biases in mortgage lending. We're already seeing racial bias in appraisals. It's documented. There's been studies done. Very concerning. Now I think with the rise of AI, you're going to start seeing sort of lenders, utilize AI, and there's no guardrails, so that's sort of scary. But on the positive note, I think there is opportunities to increase home ownership opportunities. Working with local, state government and our foundation communities to sort of box out these corporate buyers. I think that needs to happen if you really want to keep people in Pittsburgh. I think that's the key. Is not only you want to have people come and move into the city from elsewhere, but you want to keep folks here in Pittsburgh. Yeah. We don't want to see people leave. We don't want to see Ryan leave, right? We don't want to
No, we don't want to see you leave. I don't want to. Well, I don't know. I hope you don't want to see
you do. I don't. But that's really what it's about. And we really need to fight for policies that back that up. So
Yeah, and a quick note about the HUD stuff too for everybody watching at home. The National Community Development Association did put out an action alert about this, and so maybe we'll try to get you a link in the comments that just shares some more information about how you can reach out to Congress members so that your voice can be heard on about those HUD issues that Chris had just mentioned. Chris, so before we wrap with you, talk to us just about how people can get in contact with you at the PCRG. And I know there's a lot of stuff that we need to be following over the next months, years. So, just give us some quick information about, why it may be good to stay in tune with what you guys are doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we need to keep track as best we can. I mean, that's what I'm doing day in and day out of all the sort of daily activities. And I'll make sure to include our website information, our newsletter information. We are a membership-based organization, but I think it's so important to collaborate with other organizations like One Hood, and like some of our other friends, Pittsburgh United, because we're all in the same fight, we're all in the same battles, and we need to stay informed. So I'm constantly keeping track of particularly the executive orders, and then the court challenges on those executive orders. And then really quickly, one of the agencies that we really that stemmed out of the Dodd-Frank financial crisis in 2008 is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is just the watchdog that returned, billions of dollars to consumers that, banks and corporations were ripping off people, right? And it was one of the first targets from the Trump administration and Elon Musk, right? And so if you go to our website, and I'll include the link, we're sort of keeping track of what's going on and what we can do and any calls to action. So
nice. And I believe you did have some links, right, that we're going to share with our viewers here today, just to make that those connections easier, right?
Absolutely. I want to share the Black Home Ownership Report, the Corporate Purchasing Report, and then some of the other research that we've done. So,
all right. Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was great.
Good. Hopefully I'm sure we'll be talking again.
Yeah, we'll go to a planning meeting. I'll take you to a planning meeting.
I'll bring like 5 legal pads to just write everything down. We'll probably
You'll fill them up.
Paper. Yeah. All right, Chris. Well, thank you. So yeah, of course. So our next guest, and we're going to pivot here to a little bit of a different topic, illuminates the reason why it's very important that when we talk about Pittsburgh being home to so many of us, that we also have got to ask, who is this city livable for?
Hey everyone, it's Miracle, host of Brunch with the Black Men.
These people intend to kill me, keep me in prison.
I am so happy to announce we have season 2 of Brunch with the Black Men.
And I could never understand why my heart would race and my hands would get sweaty.
So make sure you join us as we go on this journey with Black men as they heal themselves, talking about their own journey as we eat to feed our souls.
All of my brothers have been in jail, and 3 of them have been in prison. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I've been in jail as well.
Join us for season 2 of Brunch with the Black Men.
All right, so we want to welcome our next guest, Bruce Thornton. Bruce Thornton is one of the co-owners of 111 Juice Bar. It's a local business based in Hazelwood. This beloved business, unfortunately, garnered some attention recently due to an incident that happened in Shadyside over the weekend. And to talk about his experience, his business, and what Pittsburgh can do to support local business owners, let's welcome Bruce to the chat. Hi, Bruce.
Hey, how's it going?
All right. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Okay. All right. I know we have a lot to get into, but before we get into some of the maybe not so fun stuff to discuss. Tell us about your business and what you guys do, how long you've been there, and all that jazz.
Would love to. So 111 Juice Bar will be 3 years old in April, actually. So we are a relatively new business in the business spectrum. We are growing year over year, 50% year over year. So we are a growing business.
I think we lost your audio. Okay, are we back? There we go. I think I hear you now.
Good?
Okay,
Good.
got you.
Where did you lose me at?
Somewhere around we're 3 years old and we're growing.
We're 3 year old. We're 3 years old. We have grown 50% year over year. So we've had exponential growth, even in a tough economic, climate. We're still growing, figuring out ways to grow. One of them was founded off of the idea that fresh fruits and vegetables and juice was for everyone, right?
Yeah.
Juice can be like elitist. It can feel elitist in a lot of ways. You think of like these fancy yoga studios and like all these things associated with juice. Well, I really wanted to break that like construct of that and say, hey man, like everybody gets to like participate in this culture because it's good for you. It's easy to drink, and it's a phenomenal product. So that's kind of like how we got started, and then it's just grown from there. We've done last year we did 500, almost 600 events throughout the community.
Wow.
This year on the books we've got about 1,200, so we're over doubling what we did last year, and that's 1,200 so far. We're still adding. We're not done.
Nice.
And so the growth has really been like there's been a true demand for us. So we have a storefront over in Hazelwood on 2nd Ave, which is significant that it is in Hazelwood, which is a forgotten neighborhood, as we talked about housing and things like that. Yeah. We have a solar-powered mobile unit that we take to different neighborhoods and events. So you'll see a schedule posted, and you'll be able to come to your neighborhood and get your juice for that week. And then we do a bunch of indoor pop-ups in corporate, at fitness studios, just everywhere, anywhere that will accept us and accept our love. We have love for you.
Perfect. Yes. It's funny. I was just saying to my partner earlier, like, I wish we had more juice spots. So I'll be coming to find you. We'll talk offline and Absolutely. Yeah. All right, cool. I'm coming. So you said you have a solar powered mobile unit, and what does that look like? It's branded. What does it look like?
Absolutely. It's branded. So it's got like a wrap on it, and it says like 111 Juice Bar. And might I add, it's the first solar powered mobile juice vehicle. So we decided to do that because we use glass bottles, we recycle and reuse those. So we're like, hey, let's harness the sun to power our part of it was our fridge and our TV screens that are also on the mobile unit. So also what the advantage is that it's a silent unit. So we can be anywhere. Some food trucks need like generators. We don't need a generator in order to power our unit. So it's a silent unit. We did that on purpose. So we wouldn't like disturb, and we just want to be like eco-friendly, like we're all about that.
It's also really cool because the sun powers the produce that you use. Sun powers the people. So I totally get the vision. It's great, exactly. So it's a bus, it's a van.
It's a like a transit van that we converted.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So Saturday, you pull up in your big wrapped transit van marked 111 Juice to Shady Side, thinking it was going to be business as usual because you do business there regularly.
Correct. When it's warm enough. I mean, it's been cold, so we'll be there when it's warm enough. We'll go stop by on Walnut. Interesting thing that on the side of the juice van it says "Juice, not drugs."
All right.
Like a
right. So we're
of how people.
Yes.
So
yes.
So it is a branded a van. So we pull up.
It's not a creeper van. It's not a weird white van, mysterious van. And it's a branded juice van. It is
a very well branded juice van. Yes.
So you pull up close to on Walnut Street. Tell us specifically where and what happens next.
So on Walnut Street, there's like, I usually park between like the Apple store and the last store on the block, which is like 10 Toes, the shoe store. Whatever space I can get. Like sometimes it's over that way, sometimes it's over that way. Just park in that area. So I parked in an open space, and was setting up, and some lady comes out and says like, hey, you can't be here, you can't vend here, which isn't true, and I know it's not true. Like, I know all the regulations, I have all my paperwork in order, I have a portfolio, I know where I can and can't be. So I kind of just kind of ignored her, because it was like, oh, okay, yeah, thanks. So I was like, we're like, if you have a regulation that's new that we can't be here, let us know, bring it out, and we'll move. Cool. Like, no big deal. So that person goes inside. The store manager of Apple goes in. That's who the person was. Goes inside the store, and I just kind of forget about it. Like, it's not on my mind. So we're selling juice. It's me and my other employee handing out samples and selling juice. And then all of a sudden, my employee goes to the coffee shop to get a coffee. And all of a sudden, the police pull up, and I see police lights. I see a car on this side, and I'm like, oh, something happened. Not like registering in my mind that the store manager of Apple called the police on me. I'm like, all right, whatever. But like in my mind, I'm like, oh, what's going on? I'm like, did something happen? I'm looking around. And then the officers come out of the vehicle, and they come up to me. And I'm like, me? And they're like, yeah, one of the businesses called, which I knew who it was. One of the businesses called and said that you're illegally, vending. And, I was like, yeah, I'm not illegally doing anything. Like, that's not what I do. Like, I was like, I'm just here selling juice, feeding my family, like trying to, making sure my staff gets paid, which they do, and growing my business. I thought Pittsburgh was a place that, invited commerce, right? Because this is what this is about, right? So the officer asked me a few questions, asked a couple of silly questions. I answered his questions. I gave him my portfolio, because my business license, my food handler's license, my insurance, it has everything in it. So I handed him my portfolio. I'm like, everything you need is in this portfolio. So any questions that you have can be answered, through here. I take my portfolio. He goes back to his vehicle, and they come back, him and the other officer, and say, yeah, I mean, everything's in order. You're not parked illegally. You're not blocking the sidewalk. Like, I'm not. And then one officer, I'm not really sure, like, what, like, prompted the call, because he's like, did you go inside of the store? I'm like, no, I didn't. I'm been out here. This is what we always do. Right. I don't really know, like, why they called. But remember that we're in the middle of Walnut on a Saturday, so it's very busy, right? Which is why we're there. Yeah. And I'm outside talking to officers. My branded vehicle is surrounded by the police. So, this 6-foot big black guy with beautiful locks is standing outside and talking to the police. And there's all these onlookers, a ton of people. Yeah. So, number one, I have some trauma from the police. I won't get into that. But number two, I'm out here and I'm thinking, and I feel humiliated. Whether I should have felt that way or not is beyond it. But I feel humiliated because I'm seeing people with their phones, seeing people like kind of watch. I'm going back and forth with the police, like kind of not in like a negative way, but But if you don't know like what's going on, it doesn't look good for my brand. This is a brand. This is a Black business, a brand that self-funded and has scratched tooth and nail to be in existence today, and we are prospering and we are growing. But that doesn't mean that it hasn't been difficult to get to a place where we're prospering and growing. So when you bring the police around my branded vehicle, you are attacking my brand as a business owner. Also, when you call the police on a Black man who's not doing anything, which you've seen no crime committed, just because you may have a personal preference of them being there or not, is also an attack on my flesh, right? Historically speaking, like if you're a literate, person and you understand the history of America and the things that have been done, I would think that as like a store manager of Apple who would have some competence, right? As a white woman to call the police on someone when you've seen no crime take place, no one's being loud, nothing's happened, is wild. Like, to me, like, that just doesn't make much sense. Right. Now, if you wanted me to move because of your preference, that's your preference. I don't move because of people's preference. I'll move because of the law and the regulation. That I will abide by. But I'm not going to move based off of your preference.
Yeah.
Your preference is not you don't have control over me, right? I'm in, my regulation and going to follow the governance, right? So the police leave. I walk inside of Apple, and I know who called the police. So I say, hey, I would like to speak to the person who called the police. First, they didn't want me to talk, and then she walked up to me. And I was just like, hey, why did you call the police? Because I was trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe she saw something, maybe something happened, maybe she didn't call exactly on me. I don't know. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt because I recorded my video, but I didn't post it yet. Because I'm like, don't do it yet. Because let me see what's happening.
And just in terms of entering I just want to stress one thing. You do business there regular, right? That's not the first time you've parked there, correct? Yeah. And so you service that area regularly. And so and this is just me sharing personal opinion. If I owned a business, and I was having an issue with store manager or anyone in an area that I frequent, I would want to clear that up. I also would want to go inside of the store and have a conversation, just because we're going to continue to have a mutual relationship and share space. So I think you should have that conversation, just to be clear that, hey, for future, I'm going to be back and I don't want to have bad blood. Yes.
Absolutely. So I go inside, speak calmly, just like, hey, what's going on? All I received was a terrible attitude, punitive speaking, pretty much I don't care. And I was treated as if I was the one that did something to them. And I was like, all right, if this is what you want to do, then we shall proceed. Yeah. So then I posted my video showing the police surrounding the vehicle and explaining hey, they called the police on me. And this is crazy. So I posted that, and then I posted another video kind of sitting in the truck, just being we're still here. We're still here doing business because I wanted people to know we're legally allowed to be here. We're still here. I was still serving customers, right? So in that block of time, I lost business because I'm out here serving customers, right?
Sure. How long was that transaction between you and the police and everything?
Maybe 20 minutes, maybe a little longer.
Okay.
And so, but it throws off your flow, right? Because you're just what's going on here? So I get back in the vehicle. I make a story on my Instagram, and people start coming down to the store. My friends and people that frequent the juice bar, hey man, are you all right? I can't believe that they called the police on you. What? And so let me preface this by this is the second time this month that the police got called on me for no reason in my establishment. Okay. In my mobile unit. So I'm tired, right?
Right.
I'm you guys are people of this city are calling the police on me, and then the police are coming, asking me all these questions, and then they're leaving because I'm not doing anything wrong. But the point is that you're putting my life in danger. You may not understand that because you don't read or you don't decide to empathize with other communities. But you are continuing to put my life and my employees' also life in danger. I am well level-headed. What if it was a younger guy who wasn't level-headed, who got a smart mouth and got his brains blown out on the street or beat up because you called the police and nothing was going on, baby? I'm sorry.
Yes.
It's inexcusable. There's just no excuse for it. And so, I'm tired, and that's when we talk about Pittsburgh and how they can support black businesses and that. That's a way to get someone to want to leave. And we hire people from our community. We are bringing small business is the backbone of our economy, right? We have a right to participate in the free labor market like everyone else does.
Yeah.
Apple is important. They bring jobs to our community, right? So is 111. We bring jobs to our community, right? We both have the right to try to compete in the free market. I very much believe that. Apple's preference doesn't get to tell me what to do. If I'm within my regulations of the law.
Yeah. So first of all, I'm just curious. Are you usually the one that drives that van? Are there other people who drive that van?
Yes. So my white female employee has been parked there in the same spot, and nobody called the police on her. Nobody said nothing to her. As a matter of fact,
Okay.
She's good to be there, I guess. Like, you know,
Okay.
because like I'm like to myself, like, why when she was here in the same spot, and she said it's a joke. She's like, I've been parked in the same spot, and nobody has said a word to me. Like you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
So I'm like,
yes.
So I'm parked here. Why are you calling the police and making a big deal when she was here, nobody said a word? And some people were like, oh, well, maybe the same manager wasn't there. But the manager on a Saturday has an assistant manager too. And I'm sure that they know the rules and the regulations also. So if it was a problem for her being parked there, why didn't y'all come out and say something to her then? But when it's me, so that's why like your bias is showing. Whether you do it on purpose or not, that's not what we talk about. And that's what's wrong with people. They think because if you do it on purpose, then it's, you know, whether you're doing it on purpose or not, we all have bias. Acknowledge that. Yeah. Acknowledge your bias, apologize, and this could have all been over with an apology.
Yes. Yes. I mean, and so just like just for even more context, just to really paint like a clear picture for people at home. I mean, are we like blocking their entrance in any kind of way or anything like that? That, you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Listen, this business I said has grown 50% year over year. If in business terms, that's massive growth.
Yes.
We're a 7-figure business, okay? Or 6-figure business.
I'm like, so wait a minute.
Do
I need to invest?
we're leaning towards getting work. If we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep going. Right. Why, as a business owner, would I park illegally? Blocks.
Exactly.
I got 4 kids. I got a family to feed. I'm here trying to feed my family, make sure my staff can feed their family, make the right decisions. I'm the owner. I'm driving the truck. I'm going to always follow the rules. Yeah. That's we you know, I know what I look like. Right. I know what I'm allowed, you know, in our societal framework. When I break a rule, I know what comes down on me. I understand my history. So I'm going to always be in a place where it's like, yeah, I know I'm good here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And if I'm not good and I didn't know, I'm going to move my black line, okay? Because I know the consequences. So to me, it's like it's beyond me that people would do such a thing, you know?
Is there any feedback that you've gotten, you know, throughout this? This is obviously blown up. Are there any like comments or anything that you have sort of read that have shocked you or just like didn't sit right with you that you want to talk about?
So, number one, the love that I've received is beyond any negative comment. Yeah. The support that we've received, I couldn't believe the support that I received. I just couldn't, from people from different creeds, races, sexes, you know, like everything, genders, like it just, because we give genuine love. Right. So I received it all back. So yeah, there were some negative comments, but that's, you know, most of it is based in just white privilege. And, you know, a lot of people will see themselves in Michelle, is her name, the store manager. A lot of people will see themselves in that. And so they're afraid when they see someone get outed, they're like, oh no, you shouldn't do that. And I'm like, yeah, I feel you, but what's the root cause? Calling the police on 2 black men not bothering you that you initiated conversation with?
Right.
I could have been dead. Y'all could be having a different conversation right now.
Yeah.
That's just the history of policing in the US. Whether you want to believe that or not, that's your problem. That don't got nothing to do with it. I'm not here to change your mind. I'm here to tell you the truth. MLK, Malcolm X, James Baldwin, they already came. Tanisha Coates is here. If they don't change your mind, those brilliant minds, I'm not going to listen. I think I'm intelligent, but if that didn't change your mind, I'm not here to really, you know, to shift that.
Yeah. Are you going to go back, and how are you prepared to?
I'll be there this Saturday. From 10 to 4. Come through. We're allowed to be there. Black people are allowed to exist in this community. We're allowed to vend. We're allowed to participate in the free economy, in Pittsburgh's economy. And you know what? black businesses only make up 1% of all businesses in Pittsburgh. We should be uplifting them, not stifling them. We should, you know what I mean? From the bottom up, we should be stifling them because black people have ideas too. And it's not because black people don't have ideas that there's only 1%. It's that the city has driven us out. It's harder for us to get funded, right? All these things, we don't have the same support, the same, you know what I'm saying? The safety nets that other people have. So to me, it's like, I have to go back because I have to go back because I'm allowed to be there. I'm allowed to exist. I'm not breaking no laws. I'm here to participate in the free commerce just like y'all. I'm allowed to be. You're allowed to exist. Ryan's allowed to. We're allowed to be here, bro. Yep. I know it sounds crazy to some people, but we're allowed to be here. I'm allowed to be me. I'm allowed to be big, black with locks and sell juice outside my truck. I'm not bothering nobody.
Look, you better hope she don't pull out that Pittsburgh parking chair on you when you go back down there.
I would so respect that. I would so respect that.
So you better take that on down to Banana Republic down the street.
That's just funny. And let me tell you something. Shady Side has been good to me.
Right.
This is one individual. Shady Side has been good to me. The folks have been great there. We sold a ton of juice there. It's been a great spot for us. That's why we keep going back.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah. So you're not going to push me out of my blessing. That's what you're not going to do. You're not going to do that. You're not going to do that.
Like you said, thankfully, all of the love that you've received is overshadowing any negative. Real quick, I just want your perspective. If I am somebody like this person in question, and I have no idea if this is going to reach the proper audience here, but if I am one of those people watching, and I'm thinking, I think I want to call the police on this juice truck outside of my office. What are some things, some boxes that you would encourage people and remind people to check before picking up that phone, keeping in mind the relationship that that Black people have with policing?
Well, when it comes to juice truck, number one, come get a juice. Because if you're a store manager, I'll give you a juice. Because I want to be cool with you.
Right.
You help. You know what I'm saying? So come get yourself the best juice in the city. It's not even close. Number two, I think that when you believe, it's a belief system. When you believe that your preference is allowed to control other people, and we see this in many communities. We see this in many people doing this in many communities at this time. When you believe because you believe something that you have the right to control other people, you're going to get yourself in trouble because that's called not minding your business. Yeah. And I think that the precipice of it is like, had you have just gone about your business, because I was going about mine, absolutely.
Right.
We would have never been in this situation. I mean, the videos have over 500,000 views on TikTok, not including Instagram. And that was because you just didn't mind your business. And to be honest, if you would have apologized to me and had a conversation with me, a civilized conversation with me in the Apple store, again, none of this would have taken place. So I think that accountability is important. And let me tell you something. It taught me about accountability. Yeah. It taught me about myself, about, you know what? Sometimes you just got to take accountability and say, hey, you know what? I shouldn't have called. I'm so sorry. I thought that you weren't allowed to be there, but clearly you are. And we can keep it pushing. But when your privilege and your arrogance helps you not be able to see yourself, these are the type of things that happen to you. And I don't have no ill will against her. I'm doing this out of love for my people, for my sons, for my daughter, for my nephews, for my nieces who might be working the juice truck one day. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? I'm doing this out of love. I'm not doing this out of spite. What happened to that's between her and God. He gonna have his way with that. But I'm here because you did that to me, and I know what could have been the outcome. I know better. I know what could have happened to me. I know. And shout out to the people that hung around when the police were there. There were a couple community members that hung around just to make sure everything was cool. It was a black man and it was a white lady too, and they hung around to make sure everything was good. And they stood in solidarity with me, knowing that one of them was like, I know, I've seen you around. You know what I mean? Like, be familiar with people, speak to them, talk to them, get to know them before you make these wild assumptions that lead to just so much, But this conversation needed to be had in this city because there's no reason I should be getting the cops called on my establishment 2 different times in the same month. And Black History Month, you did that the first day.
Hello.
Are you out of like what are you thinking? And then why do y'all keep thinking that you can do this kind of stuff and nobody's going to do nothing? No one's going to stand up for themselves and do nothing back. Why are you doing that? I don't go around calling the police on people. That's not what I do. You know what I mean?
Listen,
people keep it pushing.
I've seen them do it to little kids selling water and chips.
Why?
They do it a lot.
And those are future entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
You should be giving them water to sell.
Yeah.
You should be giving them chips. Oh, you know what? I got an extra thing of chips here. Go make an extra. See, that's the type of stuff that I do. I'm like, oh yeah, give me a case of water. Keep going, young man. You know what I'm saying? Because you could be out here doing something else. You know what I mean? Robbing you, stealing your. I'm not saying that's what they do. I'm saying. Yeah. But they're out here selling water.
There are other options. Yeah, they could be doing worse. Yeah.
Right. This is a good thing.
Yeah.
This is showing initiative. We should look at that person. We should look at, as a community, we should look at them and say, ooh, we need to teach them some entrepreneur skills. What else do you like to do? Let me help you make this. What program can we put you in? What? Because your mind is thinking about commerce and how to add to the economy already. But see, people don't want to see that. They just see these Black kids on the corner. They don't have a license. What?
Look, you know what? For any business that you lost that day or anything, we are hoping that a blessing is coming your way. So with that said, do you sell online? Where can we find you in real life? Where's your schedule?
111juicebar.com online. You can order there. We have, like I said, the mobile unit. The schedule's on our Instagram. The pop-ups. The schedule's on our Instagram. We're open Monday through Sunday right now. When it warms up, we'll be open 7 days a week with wider hours. So we're open till 4 now, from like 6 to 4. But you can find us anywhere. We do deliveries every Tuesday. You can get on that delivery sheet. We'll drop it off to your house or to your office, whatever works for you. Find us everywhere. I mean, like I said, we're doing 1,200 events this year. So it's not going to stop. It's never going to stop. You know what I mean? We are prospering in a city where Black business has a hard time prospering. We are. We also are multiracial ownership. We have Korean owners and another white owner. So I'm a founder. So we've grown. And we're still growing and looking for, adding more things and things like that. So this is bigger than just, we're bigger than just what she thought we were. This is really like solidarity and people pushing forward for something that's good for the community. We speak in schools. We give postpartum packs to women who've just had babies, or even a woman that may even have a miscarriage. Go on the website, sign up for the free postpartum pack. If you know someone who's had a baby within the last 3 months, we will give her a free postpartum pack so she can have the nutrients that she needs. That's a cost that we accept, because guess what? When my wife went through what she went through with our children, I understand the value of that. Women get forgotten sometimes after they have the baby. So that's something we do. That's on our dime. We don't have to do that. We do that because we love this community and we believe that women need support. We look at people like, you know what I'm saying? We've done juicing. We do juicing with kids. Kids come in, groups of kids come in, and we juice, and they learn about fruits and vegetables and juicing. And they get to take their own juice. They can create their own juice. They can make one of the juices that we already had. We're doing things, and some kids are like, oh, I never seen this fruit before. I never seen it. You know what I mean? We have a free fruit program. We give away thousands of pounds of fruit, free fruit to kids. If a kid comes up to this store and they want some fruit, we're giving it to you.
Good.
We're giving it to you.
Very good.
And that's not, nobody's sponsoring that. We're doing that because we know that's the right thing to do, and we're about access. So, when you mess around with people who are doing great things for the community, you'll kind of see what happens. You have to be careful. You know what I mean? Because it speaks for itself, honestly.
Have you contacted Apple, or have you heard from Apple after this?
So Apple has not reached out.
Okay.
We've received no apologies from Michelle. Apple, before the videos were sent out, it was reached out to her so we could have a conversation. Mm-hmm. She decided to double down again. Okay, let's keep doubling in. And we're looking at our options. We have the dispatch call. So you know what I'm saying? So those things are in our arsenal too. We have the dispatch call, so we know what kind of was said, so
Yeah.
exaggerating and how people do for to us. So these things are moving forward, and we I don't know what they're going to do, but we're going to keep the pressure on, keep doing what we're allowed to do.
And you'll contact their corporate too for some answers, maybe?
So this is $1 billion company with lawyers, in my opinion, some of the best minds in the world. They're worth trillions of dollars. I think $3 trillion. And all these things. I'm a small Black-owned business. If they need to get in touch with me, they can get in touch with me. These are very intelligent. These are what should be very intelligent people. I'm open to a conversation. I'm open to I just want to be sure that some people are siding with Apple, and we have to be careful that we don't become bootlickers, number one, but that corporate businesses don't have a say on using the public resources of the police to dictate their rules. That's a very dangerous standard to set, right? Right? That's like a very dangerous standard to set. Apple's preference cannot be enforced by the police. That's just not how it works. The street is the street. We on the street. You know what I'm saying? So, we have to make sure that we are standing up for small business. That is the backbone of our economy. The backbone of our economy. It creates competition, diverse thinking, new rules, innovation, right? That's what small business does. So we need to be making sure our small businesses are taken care of so they can participate in this free market. That's what we're here to do.
Look, from what I'm hearing, I'm like, does Apple have a juice bar inside? I don't know about it. You blocking their business? I'm like, are we competing? I can't do that. We got smoothies in here.
Like, you're not selling electronics, are you? I said, no, I'm selling the best. I told him I'm selling the best juice you ever had, bro. He was like,
man.
I was selling the best juice you ever had.
Well, we over here, we're already plotting on when our next visit is going to be. I know a lot of other people are already in the process of coming down and show you some love. So thank you for coming on tonight and sharing your story with us.
Thank you. The work that you all do is so important to the community. If you ever need anything, next time you guys have your next meeting, let me know. I'll drop off free juices for you guys. Support you all in any way I can. All
right, cool. And call us live and direct. Yeah.
See y'all Saturday.
Yep. All right, Bruce. Thank you.
Much love.
All right. So today we talked about a lot of different policies that impact people's lives. And one way that we're always able to impact policies is through our votes, you guys. And as you already know, there's a special election happening in March, as well as a primary election happening on May 20th. So please make sure that you are registered to vote and that your registration is updated and current. Now, the 35th legislative district seat is vacant due to the death of former State House Representative Matthew Gurley, and voters in this district are Clairton, Duquesne, Homestead, Munhall, Liberty, Lincoln, and McKeesport. Again, that is the 35th legislative district. And if you are in that district, that means you are in Clairton, Duquesne, Homestead, Munhall, Liberty, Lincoln, and McKeesport, and you'll have a special election Tuesday, March 25th from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. to fill that unexpired term. Now, the last day to register to vote before the election is March 10th of this year. The last day to apply for an absentee and mail-in ballot that may be received by the County Board of Elections is March 18th of this year. Election Day, March 25th. Now, we know that the State of the Union is happening, and we want to remind you of how elections are going to impact you. You know that people have the power. House Republicans voted to advance President Trump's budget agenda, which includes an $880 billion cut to Medicaid, which will impact over 3 million Pennsylvanians. Now, these cuts threaten the health and well-being of millions of Americans, as we well know, and we do need your help to push back. So please make sure that you guys are engaging with our content and sharing some stories that you might have with us on our social media pages. Also, make sure that you tune in next Tuesday at 7 for our special election preview. Again, this has been your One Hood Power Hour. I'm your host, Royce Jones, and we'll see you next week.